Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Happy Sunday! Our normally scheduled weekend wrap up has been preempted because last night's usual Saturday overnight live could not happen because of retail reasons. So now it takes place tonight. So we won't just be wrapping up the weekend. We'll be going into some topics. Welcome to a rare but occasional Sunday overnight live. I'm your host, William. And here's my co-host, almost shocking me the hell on time. Here, look at this. I know it's been a while. You may not recognize, but this is Brad. It's been weeks, months.
Because I got hit with a nasty flu.
Brad gets the flu every 3 months, but that's fine. At least you're not dead. I mean, the dog must be looking at you like, dude, get up, man. Come on. Do like I do. Take your crap, loosen everything up, and get back to work.
No. All
right, guys. So tonight we are diving back. Not diving back. We are staying on the trail of 1986. I have one movie and I have one album. Highlander 1986. We're getting the remake this year. So we've already covered Kind of Magic, which is the. Hold on. Hold for a second. Something's wrong. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Something's wrong with the feedback on the microphone. And then 1986 is Peter Gabriel's. This is where I first heard Peter Gabriel outside of Genesis. This is one of the great albums of the 80s. I think Peter Gabriel is one of the most underrated singers of all time. A lot of when people hear Peter Gabriel, they remember the theatrics of his videos like Sledgehammer. So we're gonna go over later on. We're gonna go over album So, which is his 1986 release. I would learn to hate the song Sledgehammer. They played the hell out of it on the radio. MTV played the video because the video was groundbreaking. There was even a show in the 80s called Sledgehammer that used it as its theme song. It was about a cop with a giant gun I hated that song. However, somehow, some way, I would get my hands on the entire album, and just like a lot of albums, the song that they drive into the ground is usually the worst song on the album, in my opinion, because there's a lot of stuff on that album that is legendary and I love, and we'll go into it, including another hit on that song that would be made famous by a movie and a meme that you probably all know about. We will also review Absolute Batman issue number 16. It's another Wonder Woman Batman crossover. It's better than the first one. And I keep saying that this book keeps getting better. I keep saying that Absolute Batman is rounding into its own. When you read this issue, when you guys get a chance, we're doing a non-spoiler of it. you're going to understand that the way this universe is set up, it is set up to grow and evolve for as long as they want to keep writing it. There is no ceiling when it comes to where they can go with this. The relationship, anybody who's picked up comics in their lifetime and picked up DC comics in their lifetime knows the relationship that each of the Trinity have with each other, post-crisis, pre-crisis, after 50, all that stuff. A lot of it is, it's somewhat the same. They like changing shit up and changing stuff up to put their own stamp on it, but it's generally the same. This is not. All right, the relationship between Batman and Diana is a different relationship than it has been in the comic books. And I look forward to the first stories with the Lanterns, the first stories with the Flash, because each and every one of these relationships, no matter what decade you're in, yeah, there are some differences, but it's pretty much the same. They don't want to mess with that. Everybody wants to put their own spin on it, but they don't want to make that kind of change that'll be dramatic. Here, the dialogue between these two, and there's some really special things that happen in this. This issue. So we're gonna go over that. I have not watched Night of the Seven Kingdoms episode 2 yet because I've just been busy. But I did enjoy issue 1. Oh, what else did I watch this week? Or issue 1? Damn, fucking comic books and everything is an issue to me. Watched the episode 8 of, I don't know if you guys aren't watching Spartacus, House of Asher, please watch, especially if you watch this show. If you like blood, guts, blood, guts, and sex, that's what that show is about, literally in abundance. There's at least one dismemberment in that show. It's about gladiators. Watch that. Watch Star Trek, Starfleet Academy. Old Trek fan. He's still there, but there's a lot of people that are speaking their mind and enjoying the show. So I'm happy with that. What else we got on the thumbnail? So yeah, those are the 3 main things. This is not, like I say, we're not going to go as long as we usually do for a Saturday show, but we could, because I don't have to worry about coming home and finding food or anything like that. I'm already home. I already got my dinner. I already got my stuff set up. I'm in my office. So I don't know. Depends on where the conversation takes us. So let's say hi to the chat. And yeah, happy Australian Day. I saw the little thing that you had tagged me. Happy Australian Day for everyone. Look, she got the little AU. How did you do that? The little AU thing there. That's cute. Yeah. Let's see. Landale, long time no see. I haven't seen you in a while, man. Yeah, probably, like I said, I probably haven't seen you as long as I hadn't seen Brad. That hasn't been that long, but there you go. Oh yeah, she's singing Men at Work for those of you from the 80s. I'm gonna get you to sing when I come to Australia. You come to Vegas. We're gonna make a video of that song, and we're gonna eat Vegemite while we're doing it. Rational Skeptic, what's up? William Brad, it's crazy how Peter Gabriel lost all his hair. When you think of somebody as rich as he, he doesn't want to. There was a joke about that when he started going bald. He just said, "This is who I am. This is what I look like." And what's her face? Linda Hamilton said the same thing. I'm not going to do anything to look younger than the 69 years I am. I earned this 69 years. And when you're Peter Gabriel, you're pretty much an icon anyway. You're Peter Gabriel, bald or not. So he just started shaving his head when he went bald. It's kind of like Bruce Willis did. Bruce Willis started going bald. He just shaved it all off. That's what I would do if I started going bald.
Lane Daly also says we're getting Daredevil Born Again season 2 in 2 months. Yeah, we should be getting
doesn't feel like it.
A trailer or like that marketing should probably ramp up pretty soon in light of that.
Marketing should have been ramping up 2 months ago. But like I said, it's the things like this. When it comes to a show like that I'm going to watch, I haven't been paying as much attention on the marketing. I think they're spending a lot of their time and a lot of their resources for Spider-Man and not even Spider-Man, because Spider-Man comes out and enough time to leave. Should have already had a trailer. But then again, the trailer or not, those are the trusted ones. They're not. You don't need a Spider-Man trailer. It's still going to make 1.2. Avengers Doomsday. You mean the little things that they're giving you right now? They wouldn't even have to do that. you get the band back together, you're gonna do well there. But Daredevil, I want to see a trailer for it, and reason being because I'm not so sure I'm going to complete this season. I want to see some signs that this is going to be for me, because there's no guarantee that I'm going to stick around for season 2. There was a lot of stuff that happened in season 1 that I like and look forward to, but there's a lot of mentions and things that are going to be in season 2 that I'm just not there for. And I want to see what percentages of certain characters are we going to get Daredevil, or are we going to get a lot of the other stuff, and so I would like to see a trailer. Not that would give me the entire indication of what it would be, because they could show a trailer with Jessica Drew in it for 2 minutes, and then she's in it for 5 minutes total. But I do want to Jessica Drew. I'm sorry, it's Sunday. Jessica Drew.
Jessica Drew,
Spider Woman.
Played her with like Nancy Drew.
Yeah, I know. No, I used to watch that when I was a kid. But yeah, I want to be pleasantly surprised when I watched when I watched season 2 of the show, because there was a lot of stuff about season 1 that I could say really went well, and then some stuff that didn't. But yeah, this is I'm looking forward to it. But if it goes down that Defenders road without being a Defenders show, then I'm going to tap out. I'll leave it to you guys to let me know how the show is.
Let's ask the audience. You've got like this really tough cookie of who's mayor of New York. He's got like all the resources, all the hint, and he's going to be a hard operation to take down. Who do you think?
Don't care.
Do you think that a whole gaggle of homeless people?
Hey, audience, ask your question. What are you tuning in to see? Are you tuning in to see Daredevil? Or are you tuning in to see Daredevil and his amazing friend?
Unbreakable Skin. Do you want the guy with the glowing iron fist? Do you want the chick with super strength?
Okay, nobody cared about those shows. Nobody cared about those.
Tactically speaking, are they the most help?
They're not gonna know. But once again, listen, I don't bitch. I don't hate watch anything. I don't hate watch anything, and I don't do hate streams about things I don't like. If Daredevil Born Again season 2 turns in that direction, I just stop watching it. You just stop seeing it featured on this channel. Hopefully it doesn't. I would really like for it to continue, because I really do. I want to see more Punisher. I want to see. I want to see more. Yeah, I want to see you're going to get the special.
I would think that, because since he's in Spider-Man 2, that probably should be out.
Yeah, a soft core version of him, apparently, from what they're saying, which is like, wow, a less violent Punisher.
You see them team up in the comics. Spidey's always scolding him, don't blow people.
Yeah, but the John Barenthal Punisher is John Barenthal is probably one of the few characters that's a comic book portrayal that takes the actual on paper persona further than you could have in a comic, and in the right direction. The people who are writing Punisher are, because I've read some of the newer Punisher stuff, you can clearly tell that they are watching the John Barenthal version of the Punisher. They are clearly watching, and I'm happy for it. So, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to it in a way. Like I said, I'll give it a couple episodes. If it's going the right direction, I'll stick with it. If it's not, then like I said, there's just so much stuff to watch right now. It's not going to be like I have a burial for the show. I'll get around to watching it again, but it's not a priority. If they go Defenders, I'm done. I'm done with that show for a while. All right, William, did you like the band Genesis that have Phil Collins and Peter Gabriel? I still do like them. They don't tour anymore because Phil Collins is having hearing issues, and he's getting up there, but he's had some health issues, so I don't think they tour anymore. But I do think they do small performances. I grew up loving Genesis. There's so many Genesis songs, and then Mike and the Mechanics, because Genesis, when Bill Collins would go on his when he became a single star, after the whole Miami Vice and No Jacket Required, they, instead of breaking up the band, Mike Rutherford and everybody else, I forgot that guy, the other two got together with other people and made their band, Mike and the Mechanics. The late Paul Young, he passed away. All I Need Is a Miracle, remember that? Or If you can you hear me from Cool Runnings, and then Land of Confusion, a song that is very relevant in today's world with Spitting Image. Favorite song from Genesis was Tonight. It's half instrumental, but there's just a lot of Genesis stuff that I like. Mama. So I grew up loving Genesis, and then I was young enough to where I came after Peter Gabriel. I didn't know Peter Gabriel was part of Genesis until, you know, I would start to see him in the mid 80s, and that's, you know, because it was a big deal then. But yeah, I was a big fan of Phil Collins, you know, No Jacket Required, you know, from Miami Vice. And a lot of times I would hear him on the radio, and as a kid, I couldn't discern who I was listening to. Was I listening to him or was I listening to Genesis? Now, as I got older, I clearly understood Genesis had a completely different sound, even if it was led by his voice. So yeah, I did love that band. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. A lot. It's the same show. They didn't retcon anything. If I'm not missing anything, right? Bad. That was the direct continuation from Netflix. Daredevil is the MCU Daredevil.
Yeah.
Hello, Dan. How you doing?
Of course, originally, but then they had the overhaul.
Yeah, they were doing some other crazy stuff, which would have been unwatchable. Question: will you be broadcasting Little Movie Purse Batgirl video to react? No. I said that last night. I wasn't. What's up?
Well, even he said it's like watch it while you can before I get hit with a copyright strike.
Yeah, and it's going to be a strike too. It's not going to be a what's that? A claim. It's going to be a strike, and you only get so many of those before they take your channel down. So Forth asked me about it last night. I'm like, he was giving me a cryptic whatever. And I'm like, whatever it is, no, wherever it is, I don't be near that. You guys have fun. And I even said I was on his in his chat because I was doing something else, and he forced to tell me it was on. And I'm like, I'm gonna miss you, Perp, because that's the wrong problem. You do not want to get a strike from a major studio because it sticks. It stays. There's really, once you get a strike in YouTube, there's really they don't remove it for the most part. So no, I will not be broadcasting. I'm mentioning it probably right now. It's got one of them.
I did get a look at it.
Yeah,
I haven't looked at it. So it's like, and again, it's like kind of like his rendition of like what the unreleased Batgirl movie kind of looked like. It's got Poison Ivy in there, and pretty well done. But again, like if you want to see it, check it out while you can.
Yeah, like I said before last night, I didn't have any desire to see the actual footage from the studio. I have no desire to see Batgirl whatsoever. And two, even if I did, the absolute last thing I'm going to do is show it on a channel where I'm literally promoting Warner Brothers films. I literally send, we said about 1,000 people a year to free movies, and half of those are Warner Brothers movies in some cases. So we're actually a partner with them when we do promotions. The last thing that I don't think my relationship would last too much longer if I put that out there. Yeah, I think I would get shut out. So nope. Happy for you, Perp, as long as you're around. But when you get that strike, oh, Duckman. Yeah, they did. It wasn't. I remember that. A couple other bands did it too. Hey, Duckman. We're probably getting the special right after Spider-Man. Yeah, that would work. Talk about Nancy Drews in the public domain. So yeah, I remember reading those books as a kid in the library back when I read. Yeah, I've been too busy with work for. Oh, trust me, I know. Thank you for rewatching. Those views help. William Mike Coulter said he had conversations with Marvel.
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
Marvel looked like Luke Cage is coming back. All we need. Hey, put him on his own. Listen, if Luke Cage comes back, more power to him. I actually thought he was pretty decent. I thought he was, and by himself, I like that character and I like the actor playing him. So I'm go with that. I just don't want him in my Daredevil. It's like I like certain things. I like olives, right? I love olives. I don't want them in my cereal because they don't mix. See what I mean? Things can be good until you start to jumble them together, and then it's like the things that made those individual things strong gets watered down. I just want to say it. So if he comes back on his own, I don't mind these characters. I doubt Disney's going to do this, but I don't mind these characters coming back singularly, but I just don't want them to clutter each other. I think that's where I got, I kind of got the censors.
Rational, real quick, just kind of something I thought around by you. Like when we went into Iraq and we're going to take down Saddam Hussein, do you think that the best allies the United States could have had would have been like like what are some like countries that like don't have like,
okay, so out of the two of us, one of us has been in a military situation and the other one hasn't. So his strategy is coming from TV.
Thinking tactically.
He's getting his strategy from G.I. Joe cartoons. Anyway, hey, Stephen Ortega, how you doing?
Do you want to bring?
He even said hi to you. Listen, hey guys, when you come on the show, you don't have to say hi to Brad. Fuck Brad.
Do you want to bring in for that? Do you want to bring in like Finland and like?
I'm ignoring you. Everybody knows Warner Brothers history when it comes to strikes.
Like Canada and like all our
for the last decade, even though I think they kind of softened. No, they have not softened. They have not softened. I got warned. I had to get a hold of somebody because they had hit me with a warning and then said next time it's gonna. They hit me with a claim and then somebody emailed me behind the claim and said, "Hey, this is your one and last warning." And then I'm like, and I had to send them all my contacts. I'm like, "No, dude, I'm promoting for you," because they were gonna hit me with a strike, and you only get 3 of those, and they don't take them off. I've never. Maybe you guys in the audience may know some people. I've never heard of anybody here that got a strike, got it taken off, and that's the last thing I need. You didn't want to start your channel over and shit, and a lot of times YouTube will shun you because of that stuff, because they get in trouble too. But yeah, as far as I've heard, I know some people in other industries that have gotten strikes, and a lot of the times it's they're really careful about a claim versus a strike because they know once they lay it on you, it's just going to hurt your channel. But with Purpose, I think Purpose in strike territory. So I hope he doesn't have the other ones, but staying away from that one. Did Brad like the preview? Did you like the preview of Masters of the Universe? Did you watch it?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I did, and I even mentioned when I posted it. I wasn't like a big He-Man guy growing up. That wasn't like my kind of like set of action figures I played with. There's actually a fair amount of like the
Bastards
big,
were expensive back in the day.
Well, like the big like 80s toys like Transformers or He-Man and She-Ra. A lot of those I didn't get as much into for whatever reason. Maybe because
you weren't alive. You weren't alive.
Well, yeah, but I was alive at the tail end. They were still doing reruns, when I was a kid, and the toys still existed. So but I didn't like quite the latch on to. I mean, that when I was like 4 years old, I mean, action figures were definitely kind of my gateway drug to a lot of things. I'm into now. Like a big thing of that was the DC and Marvel stuff. So, that was kind of where all my attention lied with them, and then quickly with Power Rangers when that got started. So when I was big on action figures, I was collecting Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Power Rangers, all that. But I didn't really get as much into Masters of the Universe. But this trailer looks. I'm going to see this. This looks pretty cool. I'm interested in seeing this. This looks.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Hey, Aaron, I'm gonna delete. I've only deleted your comment one time in probably our entire history together. I have to delete this comment. Even the link being in there, I'm kind of worried about, because, like I said, it's not looks like I'm just not another YouTuber. I'm a YouTuber who literally, like I said, and they do come in and out of this channel sometimes, just to make sure that we're doing things right. Like when we were, when I was promoting certain things, and I won't name them, I had to get permission to even say certain terms on the air. That's how stringent they are. So yeah, I can't even have that in the chat. Sorry. I wish him all the luck in the world, but yeah.
But anyway, this trailer, I'm definitely gonna give this a look. When it comes out in June.
Yeah.
You're gonna be promoting them, I'm assuming.
Oh, who makes the movie? I know I am. I just can't. I just don't.
I think that's Universal.
If it's Universal, so Universal, yeah, we'll definitely get it. She'll get it from me. And I'm gonna go crazy with that promotion. I'm like,
I bet the merchandise is gonna be nuts on it.
I actually have a He-Man sword that I'm gonna have you guys. I'm gonna have people standing out there doing. I have the power.
And I'll
do the background.
No, it's Amazon. Actually, it's distributing it states.
It's still Universal.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. That's Amazon MGM.
Amazon MGM. Yeah. So
so I'll get it.
I have to say though, Leto, I think he's finally taken this method acting thing a little too far, because he got himself down to a skeleton for Skeletor. I think it's like, come on, it's a little much there, man.
Hey, this is his living. I'm not going to tell a Academy Award winner actor how deep to go. Just be careful you don't mentally lose yourself. I will give Wonder Man a watch tomorrow. I'm going to give Wonder Man a watch tomorrow if it's on there. I've heard good things about it, but then again, like I said, I have no I love Yahya Mateen, but I have no expectations for this show. So there's no way but up for me on this show. So I will give it a chance. I have not seen The Rip. It's on my queue.
I've been meaning to give that a look. I really want to give that a look. I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah, like I said, I not like I don't support little movies. That's a tricky situation for me there.
The Odyssey trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when's that out? That's in July, right?
It's in July. I'm gonna go see it. Like I said, you guys know how I feel about Christopher Nolan, but he is that level of director to where I respect his work enough to go see his work, and I'll judge it afterward. I don't hate Christopher Nolan to the point where Nolan. No, I just don't connect with the majority of his work. That's all. I mean, but he's done. Listen, there are directors who have only done one movie that I give him a chance. He's done two good movies that I really love. I love Oppenheimer, and Dunkirk was the best movie of that year. He should have won Best Director and Best Movie for Dunkirk.
So it sounds like you're saying that his World War II stuff is your jam.
Pretty much. Maybe because I'm biased. I love World War II. I cannot get enough World War II documentaries. History Channel has that World War II in color, and that they made. They keep repeating it over and over again. And you know what? It's on like now, and sometimes I just watch the repeats, even though I've seen them before. I love World War II stuff. I love World War II movies. Saving Private Ryan's one of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, I know I could, dude. I wouldn't have lasted 2 minutes on that beach.
Well,
I'm the guy who, as soon as they drop the ramp, I'm done. I'm like, oh wow, or I'm losing my mind. I put it in my head and hide behind people.
That's. I mean, I remember first seeing that when I was thinking I was probably about what was I, like 12 or 13? Because again, like I had to fight to see R-rated movies as a kid, and that one was another one I really had to fight for. And that first 25 minutes is just so visceral. And my grandfather was still around at the time.
My grandfather was around.
He was a veteran. And I mean, yeah, just the power of that, that Omaha Beach.
First 38 minutes is probably most tore up. I mean, and it was, like I said, this was when they first had that Dolby surround when we went to go see it. This was 96, 97 or 90, or late 90s when we went and go saw it. This was all new. And I think that was my first time to be in a theater with that type of sound where it shook my eardrums, and it was like, it was overwhelming. We had World War II veterans that had to get up and walk out.
Hey, you told that, yeah.
We had World War II veterans that had to get up. That's how good that movie was. And then with Steven Spielberg, his favorite movies of him are World War II movies. Schindler's List is one of those movies where you just want to beat someone after you watch what happens in that movie. I wanted to, and like I said, same thing with Django, same thing with 12 Years Later. I have to understand that these people have done such a great job that I want to fuck them up. But yeah, so those World War II is the era, my favorite era of when it comes to movie, outside of science fiction, horror, and fantasy, of course. But looks like Wonder Man premiere had low viewership. William Wise, Marvel continuing. By the way, I got notification for this particular Donovan. You might not be the Donovan that we're used to, because I've been getting some convicted. I've been keeping track. But it doesn't matter, dude. You asking me a legitimate question, so I'm going to answer it. So in case this is not the real, because I actually.
Well, look at his next comment. Next comment. I'm pretty sure it is.
May not be, but anyway, we're going to answer it. This is simple. Wonder Man is a Z-lister. You can't continue to feed. You fed your audience steak from 2008 to 2019. You gave them the best steak. You gave them the best sides. You gave them the best wine. And on that last meal, they got up from the table and they were done. But now you call them back. You cannot call the steak people back to the table with bologna. You can't call the steak people back to the table with top ramen. So you'll see the difference in Marvel viewership and attention when Spider-Man comes around, when Doomsday comes around. But they just don't want these other characters. They don't want these other characters. Now, if Wonder Man were to show up in Doomsday and was significant, then now you people might watch it. But right now, all these characters, to be honest with you, and even some of them I enjoyed. I enjoyed Falcon and Winter Soldier, but it was a spam to the steak that they had produced. So, Jesus, like that scene in Howard the Duck when Howard gets what do you when he almost gets eaten. Let's see. I don't know. I don't care. No, but I like I said, a little movie perp. If you're watching, sorry, man. No, I feel about it. Okay. All right. So, hey, let's get it. I forgot. We got topics. We're going to start out with, because I just finished. Scott got it to me later. He got it to me this afternoon. So I just finished Absolute Batman 16, and I won't spoil it for you. You need to read this. I think at this point, if you're watching this show, I hope I've gotten you hooked on Absolute Universe, no matter where you have started. No matter where you have started, I hope I got you hooked onto this. And I you know what? I really hope it was the first thing you saw if you're a brand new collector, or if you've gotten away from it. I hope this will brought you back. This comes out this Wednesday, and it'll be on the shelf at the Sci-Fi Center if you're in the Vegas area. So what I'll tell you about this is a story about guilt. This is the aftermath of Abomination, which was a storyline where Bane does all kinds of damage to Bruce's friends. And there's a scene here where he's visiting Penguin or Oswald in the hospital after Bane. He's still recovering. And you're starting to see the resentment and the anger of his friends and what they've been turned into. And that's starting to weigh on him. Now, the whole plot of this entire issue is the guiltiest of the people is that he feels about is Wayland, is Killer Croc, has happened to him. So he seeks out Wonder Woman again. He uses the talisman that he gave her, or she gave him in the previous issue of Absolute Wonder Woman, and he uses it to call and said, "Hey, I know you have, in Greek mythology, you have people who can transform from beast to human to beast, and transform people in that same manner. Is there a way you can help me? I really want." He's desperate. He really wants to help. He really wants to, cure Wayland. And so the whole story is about him going on this journey into one of her mystical lands. I won't even tell you which one because that will kind of spoil it. And finding out things and tracking down this other mystical beast that has magical powers that can do what he's asking. So it's a journey through, this land. It's not Hades, but yeah, here's the Penguin. Here's Bruce visiting him. All the people that are still recovering in the hospital, and they're starting to, you're kind of seeing where the beginnings of their villainy towards him will begin, because they're going to spend the rest of their lives blaming him, even though it was Bane that did it. And he goes to the museum. Looks like kind of like the museum out of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Remember when she shot the arrow? And this is he's looking now. Here, these pictures right here. You have a centaur, you have a sphinx, you have a monitor, and this is where he's getting this mentality to go seek her out. Every piece of dialogue, and I'm going to scroll past it because I want you to buy the comic. Every piece of dialogue between Diana and Bruce in this issue is special. It's special because there's a metaphor. This entire series, when it comes to Absolute Batman, is about guilt. Even before Bane does that to his friends, he feels he's not living up to his father's heroism, sacrificing himself to save them. That's what this is all about for him. Him being the Batman. Even if you read the annual number 1, that's what brings him back to, he killed all those white supremacists and then he relented, he pulled back and went a different route because he didn't think he was honoring his father's memory as a hero. So that's what shapes him, and it shapes him in this issue. There's this scene, and I won't go into too much specifics, where he has a conversation with his dad, and it's one of the coolest short parts of this entire run. And then there's something that Diana does. That's not something that Diana does prior to that I thought was really cool. And if you read the comic, she's explaining a lot of the mythology that goes along with the Amazonians and Greek mythology. And the ferryman comes up, and the coins on the eyes, and that's relevant to what happens next. And a lot of it is metaphorical. There's comic book. There's a battle that happens. There's they have to fight this centaur, because he has an artifact that with this artifact, he can help Wayland. And you end up seeing what the artifact is and the way the story has been told. The story is told more like a lesson than anything. But I mean, it's not a flashy story or anything like that, but it's just really good. And every issue that they put out reminds you of every issue that's been out. So you read this issue, it covers a lot of the first year. A lot of the things that are relevant in the first year are covered in just this one issue. And I'm not saying you can buy issue 16 and be like caught up. I still think you should get everything you can get your hands on, whether it be via trade paperback or the original issues of the reprints. I really think you should take this in that way. But the dialogue in this one is some of the best of Absolute Batman. And there's a lot of things about Absolute Batman that have really reached its zenith, but the dialogue is the writing is getting better. And remember, we're at issue 16, and he's only met Wonder Woman as far as the traditional trilogy. I think it's going to improve as he meets Clark, as he meets the Green Lanterns, as he meets the Flash, and then you have DCKO number 4, which comes out next month, and they're together. So this is, I need to know if there's a backstory behind that because they still haven't met each other. He hasn't met Superman yet in the story that we're in. And Superman's story, the way it lines up, it's going to be weird because that's the meeting. I mean, Superman and Batman, World's Finest, when you have those two meet, once again, every decade has their own version of this meeting and this relationship. And now we get to see the Absolute Batman meet the Absolute Superman. Completely different. I mean, how is it, a Bruce is 24 years old, construction worker. How is he going to see Superman? Because it's going to be different, be like Batman versus Superman. Is he going to look at him as a god that he needs to save this universe from? Or is it just going to be, we already got an enemy in Darkseid. So, but I look forward to it though. If you read this issue, it makes you want to see how these guys and these gals interact with each other. So, I'm not going to say it's the best issue of the series. It's up there because it's simple. It's just a simple lesson here. And it's the simple theme. It's about guilt. It's about guilt and what happens to the people around you when you make certain decisions. So, obviously, yes, I'm a shill for the Absolute Universe. Yep.
Now, to be clear, also, this issue is not out yet.
This issue comes out Wednesday. This is an advanced copy of that. We thank you, Scott Snyder, if you're watching. He'll be on the show in February. I mean, I got a lot to talk to him about. But yeah, this comes out this Wednesday. This is a preview that I was sent to this afternoon and got a chance to read.
Meeting and whatnot. Aaron's got a question here. So is Batman seen as the leader of this fourth Absolute Justice League? Well, the league hasn't formed yet.
Hasn't formed yet, so we don't know who's going to be the leader. If I had to choose who's going to be who's most fit to be the leader, it's Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
Batman is not quite there yet as far as what he will be. He's not the kind of tactician of the Batman. There's Alfred feeding Killer Croc, by the way. It's hilarious. He's like, "Don't eat me, don't you eat me," and he runs away. But yeah, this right here, what you're looking at, and I'm scrolling through it really fast because I want you to read the bubbles. I wish I could do like that one channel and just get rid of the bubbles. But there's a sequence here that I thought was super special, and it's consistent to what the story that they've been telling you. If you read The Zoo and you realize how that scene where Thomas Wayne locks the door behind him and stands in front of the door and saves those kids, that resonates here. That's literally, it's almost like that happened yesterday as far as he's concerned. So he's doing a really good job. And Scott Snyder's not new to comics. He's been doing stuff for years. I mean, he's been a part of some major storylines. This is the best he's done. This is the most compelling stuff he's done. And I have to, like I said, I'm not saying that just to kiss his ass because he's going to come on the show. And I love the stuff because it makes, it pays some bills. No, I could say that just about anything. There's a lot of comics that have come out in my lifetime. And I could have really said that. And I've interviewed and I've met people and got, I could do that. This is real though. This is what he's doing right now is changing the perception of the character while still leaving the character, because this doesn't mean anything without the Batman in the normal universe. And you're going to see that in DCKO. All these things that they're doing with these characters in the Dark Side universe, in the Absolute universe, they don't have the standing without what they're doing in the other universe. So obviously I'm going to recommend it to you. Get your hands on anything Absolute right now. Start wherever you want to start, to be honest with you. I would say right now, while everything is still newish, even if you got to get your hands on the second and third print, if you're in it just to read, it doesn't matter. Some of those second and third print, I got an 8th printing that went up in price the other day. So it's a good time to be a DC comic fan, and just hold on to it. All right, so let's answer some questions on that. Let's see. Maybe you could, when you read it, you get the sense that she's very kind to him. She senses that what he's been through, because she's kind of psychic, because the magic that she wields is different than, she doesn't have to use a lasso or anything like that. She can just she senses that he means well. And when you read the story, there's something he has to do that you can only be a person of decency to be able to do. And she understands that. He doesn't see himself that way. And that's another thing about this issue. It underscores the fact that Absolute Batman doesn't see himself as a worthy hero. I get the impression that he does what is necessary and he makes do with what he has, but he doesn't see himself as that inspiration. He doesn't see himself as worthy of the mantle that he's, because he'll never match up to what his dad did. He can't unless he sacrifices his life for, a bus full of kids. But what has happened to him, or what he feels that he is allowed to happen to his friends because of Bane. And that's why when I say this Bane is the version that I would have respected back in the mid-90s, because Bane wasn't in this book. Bane was not in this book. Bane hasn't been in it's been 2 months since Bane's been in the book, since they blew the shit out of him, broke him down to eyeballs and the brain. But what he did resonates in a more powerful way when he's not even on the page. When you look at, every time you look at Batman's friends, you see what Bane did, and you just want him to, reform himself again so Batman can kick the shit out of him again. So yeah, this book is really good. I mean, can't talk it up enough. I hope you guys are getting on the train now. Don't try not to get gouged too much. There's some really expensive stuff out there, but the print runs will dictate that comes down. But you know what? If you don't want to pay $200 for Absolute Batman #1, you can get it in trade paperback and you can get it on digital. I'd rather you have pick up the papers and Staples, but I want you reading it a little more than I do, anything else. So, all right. Let's see. Yeah, Bruce is 24 because unlike in the normal universe, he hasn't gone to college here. Not that I can see. He didn't have a lot of money. He didn't travel the world. I don't think he's left Gotham. I think they've mentioned the fact that I don't think he's left Gotham. I think Alfred has mentioned that. He's not a worldly person like the one who become Batman. He didn't go learn from go to the Himalayas or learn from people. Yeah, he everything he learned was practical stuff around him. He's an engineer. He studied to be an engineer, so that part is so he has the aptitude. But he didn't do all the things, because in my estimation, Batman, if you look at everything he's accomplished in life, is late 20s, early 30s before he puts on the cowl. Whereas this one skipped all that. Thomas Wayne wasn't a rich doctor. He didn't have billions. He didn't have anything like that. And like I said, I don't think he has left Gotham unless they tell you a story where absolute Batman has left Gotham. I mean, a backstory. I do not believe he's left Gotham. So there you go. All right. So, all right. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I was gonna.
All right.
Find somebody out.
I didn't even finish doing it before you said. All right. So, like I said, I love the Absolute line. It is just, it's really fun to have it. Let me show you guys. Did I show you guys my Absolute section that I updated the other day?
Yeah, I think you did.
Okay, cool. But I love some. I have some more updates to add to it as well. But when I do the interview with Scott Snyder, if I'm at the store, I'm going to do it from that section. I'm going to do it with all that stuff behind me, because I could do it behind the yellow wall. But if I'm at the store, I want to do it. I mean, I'm talking Absolute with the guy who created it. Really want to have them behind there. So, all right, 1986 bought us a movie that fucking bombed really bad, but it
wouldn't became a franchise, and
I think you can. I think
like Immortals just cannot die.
I think a lot of it had to do with Queen's music keeping it alive, because that 86 was a huge year for Queen. Live Aid, you had the same year that this movie came out.
No, Live Aid
was 85. I'm sorry, Live Aid was 85. This came out afterwards, but this put Queen, because Queen had been a little bit of a lull until the mid 80s. At the end of 90, because that was in July. That was like July of 1985, and then Highlander was released next year. I think this movie, Highlander, the soundtrack, A Kind of Magic, which is technically the soundtrack for it. I think that music kept it in there, and what really helped Highlander, and I shit you not, because I was there watching this happen, is the VHS market.
Yeah.
It was just that kind of movie that you could rent. Wasn't necessarily the kind of movie you wanted to pay even 80s money to go see if you weren't into that shit, because fantasy wasn't, science fiction and horror, but fantasy wasn't the big. I mean, everybody was chasing Conan and all this stuff, but most of the money went to comedy or science fiction and horror. I mean, fantasy was there. There's a lot of fantasy movies in the 80s that didn't do well, just because I don't think that was the genre. That was the year that, that decade wasn't the genre for it. Highlander's fantasy. Highlander had some pretty big names. Christopher Lambert was a decent sized name. Sean Connery definitely was. It was a movie that was ahead of its. What's up?
I quote the movie so much.
Oh, it was a movie that was not too far ahead of its time, and the reason I say that is because 7 years after the movie bombed, we had a show
that ran for almost 7 years.
That show ran for 6 seasons, and I watched every episode of that show, even because I went to basic training while that show was still on the air. And when we got our TV privileges, because when you phase up into phase 5, you get your TV privileges, you can watch. That was the show I watched. I did not think that show was going to last. I cherished every moment. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to watch this show, and I with full expectations that Highlander, this series, was going to get canceled at any moment. They did everything they could to get that show canceled. They put it on nights. Dude, it debuted in LA, second largest media market in the country. It debuted 11:30 after the news on a Sunday night. Other than putting a white flag on it and saying, you know what, good luck, they did everything they could, and that show survived that. It got a cult following. It ended up lasting 6 years. Now keep in mind, most network shows, like say for instance the network Star Wars shows or the syndication Star Wars shows, you got 7 or Star Trek show, you got 7 years. That show got 6 years, and a movie that was awful.
Yeah.
It got a movie, which is why they cut the shows, because they went on the movies. So, but you could not have that without the original, the OG. And I'll never forget seeing this. Because I mean, by that time, by the 80s, I'm the hardcore wrestling geek that you know and love now. And that movie opens up with the
pro wrestling match.
Yeah, the Fabulous Freebirds, coming in.
Park the garage and like, here's 2 immortals. They're going
Yeah.
the only one.
I believe he's at MSG, and that's actually a real wrestling, because the movie wasn't the hugest budget, so they filmed that. But I think they filmed him sitting in the audience in a different setup, but that's actually real, and that is actually in Madison, like I said, Madison Square Garden. So that was cool. So I instantly was able, but that's the very first time. The very first time I heard Princess of the Universe. I didn't see a trailer for this movie. I didn't see promo. I do not recall seeing promos for this movie. It was just out, and we went to go see it. As a matter of fact, I saw this movie this is one of the few movies in the 80s that I didn't go to with my family to see. It was a matinee on a Saturday, back when I didn't have anything else to do on a Saturday. I didn't have any job money, allowance. We would go to the comic book store, and on those weeks when it was not, when there was not that much coming out, there was a movie theater right down the street from the comic book store. So we went to go see this movie. Actually, not the comic book store, the PX. I'm sorry, because I just started going to the comic book store later on. The PX was right down the street from my comic book store, but it was on Del Rosa. And there was a place called Kokoyan Cinema that we went to go see all of our movies at. And I remember seeing this. I was fucking blown away, man. I didn't know what the hell I was watching. What is this? You had never, and as somebody who grew up in this era, we had never seen anything like this. Fantasy to us, like I said, was Cole or Beastmaster or Conan or Legend or something, things like that. We didn't see shit like this. And if you didn't see it, the way this movie is shot is it's memory. So he's already 400 something years old here, and he's got memories all over the place. First thing out, after the wrestling match, or not even after, he gets up, he senses another Highlander, goes into the
immortals can sense the presence of other immortals.
Yeah, goes into the parking lot, and they duel it out. And I'm like, dude, what is this? And he takes his head off, and then that's when you see the quickening. And in the movies, the quickening is like some big fucking Fantasia thing from I mean, it's like the head is rolling, the body's flying, and everything is blowing up. Now in the show, obviously, because it would be a lower budget show, they just truncated it. But I'm sitting there, an 11-year-old, because I was 11 when I saw this, and I'm like, this is great. This is great. Wasn't that many people in the theater with us. Wasn't notable. It got panned. It didn't do well. But as a kid, I didn't care about ratings. I didn't care about Siskel and Ebert. I cared if I saw it and I liked it, and you had a good soundtrack. That's how you got William. It's kind of like a Fat Burger today. A good soundtrack. A good soundtrack to a What'd you say?
What kind of soundtrack?
This sucked. I wish I could choke you. A good soundtrack in the 80s was The Lure, man. Beverly Hills Cop. Everything had a good soundtrack, and this had the soundtrack. And this had, and I was already a fan of Queen from Flash Gordon. I was already a fan of Queen back when that came out like 6 years earlier. So I was already, you know, Queen, you know, and I had seen the Giorgio Moroder version of Metropolis where Freddie Mercury has a solo song, and I loved Queen to this day. To this day, greatest vocalist to ever do it. I will defend that to the death. Freddie Mercury is the greatest vocalist to ever sing a note, in my opinion. So imagine hearing I'm basically sitting through brand new Queen music, and it's all them. You hear Princess of the Universe, I'm ready to jump out of the aisle and go, go tackle me and my buddies. Let's go fight.
By the way,
You
William,
hear
quick interjection on that. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but when I
your,
had
your sound is before you say anything, because I want to hear what you got to say. All right, go. No, now you're muted. Now you're muted. You just had to fix your sound so it's not crackly. You're still muted. Still muted. Yeah, but when I hear you, it sounds like are you sure you hooked up to the right device?
Yeah.
Because it's been a while since you've been on the air. You're muted. All right, so while you're fixing that, but yeah, then you go from Princess of the Universe, and then you go into Don't Lose Your Head when he's fighting Kurgan. And then when his girl dies, Heather dies. That's the first time I heard Who Wants to Live Forever. One of the great Queen songs ever done. And I remember the day he passed away. The radio stations in LA did like a block of time to where they were just playing all Queen songs, and that was when they announced he had passed away. They played that song, and it was the most appropriate song that you could play. This is a kind of magic, there can be only one. And what would end up happening is in the series with Agent Paul, they would use those same, if they do Highlander, obviously not if, when I hear the soundtrack for Highlander, I'm not trying to put you new guys into a box. I'm not trying to put a curse on you or bring any ill will to you. I don't know what your prospects are if we're not hearing Princess of the Universe by Queen. Is that fair? I don't know. Highlander and Queen go hand in hand. One of the major reasons why Highlander was able to hold on to relevance until it exploded was Queen's music. So I'm going to be curious to see what decisions they make in this new film, as far as music wise. I don't want to hear scores. I have plenty of movies. I love scores. I love them, but it's Highlander. There needs to be some Queen music in Highlander, and not the the replacement, the Queen. Remaster the music, do whatever you need to do, but man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay in my seat if I don't hear "Here We Are." Don't know if I can do it. I don't know if my body will let me, but it's going to be interesting. All right, Brad, are you back, Soundwest?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead and bring her. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. What were you saying now?
Well, I was talking about Princess of the Universe. I don't know if I mentioned the story previously, but when I had my black belt test back last May, one of the things we do at my school is when there's a black belt test, everybody, the team, of all the black belt candidates, we pick an intro song and everybody marches down onto the mat with. And I suggested Princess of the Universe, and everybody liked that, so we went with that one. So that was if you had been there at my black belt test, you probably would have been really. I
don't know that guy, but it's fucking interesting. It's great. if I were a pro wrestler, there's a 4 or 5 songs I know that I would want to enter the ring with. Princess of the Universe is one of them. For Those About to Rock by AC/DC. Victory by Puff Daddy and the Family. and Smashing Pumpkins Killer Brock. If I were a professional boxer, or if it was based on presentation, and the only honorable mention would be the Flash Gordon song, because I would have that bass and that bump, 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 bump. I'd have that shit going forever, and the lights would go red, and then the fucking lightning bolt would come out, and here I come out there with my lightning bolt. But yeah, the Queen's music did that to you. That's why they play it at sporting events, because it just gets you going in a way that no other group, as far as I'm concerned, ever was able to. So yeah, here's Clint singing it. And if you buy when you get the album, it's kind of magic. It's a longer song. That verse, "Here we are, born to be kings, with the princes of the universe." There's a second verse of that's not in the show or in the movies. But when you get the album, you hear all of it. So yeah, I mean it's
Now, of course, we can't talk about Highlander without also talking about the you mentioned the TV show, obviously, but that's only one part of the tremendous success.
Okay, hold on. Because I know what's coming.
Starting with the timeless classic that is Highlander 2.
What in the fuck? Listen,
that's what everybody said when they saw that movie.
I saw that in the film. Rip Torn. You had the makings. You had the personnel. You had everyone you needed except for one person who should not have been there. I love you, Sean Connery, but you should not have been in that movie. You could have been a memory, just like you were in one. He could have been a constant memory, but he should not have. In the way they brought him back,
have been an alien either.
Made me want to oh fuck. That's another thing I've been pushing back. But you're not going back to Zeist. It is one of the worst movies, and it makes it disappointing because I never thought I was going to get a Highlander sequel because of the way the first one did. But it'd be, like I said, VHS. That was when studios would track the VHS sales and be like, okay, we got an audience for this. Unfortunately, it led to Highlander 2, The Quickening, which is an awful movie. My jaw hurts because I can't articulate the words of how awful that movie is. But look who you had here. You had Christopher Lambert. You had Sean Connery. You had Virginia Madsen in her hot stage. She's still hot, but she was hot then. You had Rip Torn, a guy who was named to be a villain.
No, it wasn't Rip Torn. It was
Michael Ironside. It was Michael Ironside.
Yeah.
Michael Ironside. Rip Torn is Beastmaster. See, got me seeing.
Yeah.
Michael Ironside.
Well, his name could also be a super villain.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Rip
Torn, dude. Whoever names you, Rip Torn's cool. But Michael Ironside, who gets born to be an enemy, just like Clancy Brown came out of the womb. You're going to be a villain. You come out of your voice. You come out of the womb. You're Clancy Brown. You're the Kurgan. You're going to be a villain forever. And that's what Michael Ironside. They had the makings of the movie, and then I'm like, because the trailer was complete fraud. The trailer for that movie, I don't even pull it up anymore, but the trailer for that movie, when they were showing it in other movies, this was like, all right, this is it. They engineered that trailer, and it was fraud because. A, you shouldn't have brought back Sean Connery because you made his death meaningless. And two, what the hell was the alien thing? Zeist? And it's Michael Ironside's character coming back because to tell them you can't come back to Zeist, because in the beginning of the movie they're in the planet Zeist, and I'm like, okay, what the fuck?
The Civil War,
and then they get
that's their explanation of immortals. They're actually aliens, and
they get transported to Earth where they can't age. And then they have the whole thing. And then for some reason, Michael Ironside's character, I forgot what his character name was. Katana. He comes back. What's it?
General Katana.
Oh, Katana, that's right. He comes back and says, you can't go back to Zeist. She's like, I would. And this is where the movie completely falls apart. Connor's like, I wasn't planning to. I don't want to. So what are you doing there? Jackass, you went to an interdimensional, whatever the hell that was, to get to a planet that you can't get back from, to tell him that he can't come back home when he didn't want to. The movie's dead right there and then. It's like Weapons when Gladys gets there. It's like, movie's over. So this movie, and it just gets worse. It doesn't even have a soundtrack to save it.
And actually, I shed a little bit of light onto like how the whole Zeist thing came about. This is from the Highlander 2 Wikipedia.
Why is there a Wikipedia of that movie?
The film's investors and completion bond company took direct control of production and final edit, removing director Russell Mulcahy and his creative influence while changing parts of the story. The resulting film contradicts the established canon of Highlander regarding the nature of immortals in McLeod's past, such as depicting immortals as aliens from the planet Zeiss rather than human-born with energy connected to nature and making them unable to die unless beheaded. McLeod's former mentor Ramirez, killed in the first film, is inexplicably resurrected and now depicted as an alien sorcerer. So yeah, basically, according to the documentary Highlander 2 Seduced by Argentina, because I think it was filmed in Argentina, the film's apparent poor performances are partially a result of the bonding company's interference with the work of director Russell Mulcahy. Mulcahy hated the final product so much he walked out of the film's premiere, reportedly do so after viewing its first 15 minutes. For similar reasons, Christopher Lambert threatened to walk out of the project when it was near fruition. However, due to contractual obligations, he did not. So basically, and they've talked about this elsewhere.
It was the Howard the Duck of Highlanders, is what it was.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's look at this. This is painful.
So
by the way,
the bonding
I know I'm losing. I know I'm losing money. I'm losing money. I'm losing a whole 14 cents showing it, but it's
well. So basically, the bonding company that our revenue potential, so we can only do that if we make them aliens. Is kind of like the long and short of it.
All right, hold on. Let's watch this. This is now this right here. You see this? You're like, ooh, wow! But listen to this. Like, what?
Greetings, Highlander. You called? Let's have some fun. In all their centuries on Earth, nothing could have prepared them for the quickening. Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery, Highlander 2, The Quickening.
I noticed what don't we see?
Okay.
What don't we see in that trailer?
This is a fraud.
Yes, it is.
As Brad has brought up, nothing about the aliens, nothing about Zeiss, none of that UFO shit. I'm like, okay.
That trailer is.
I don't know how you brought Ramirez back. You reattach his head.
I want to see that Highlander too, because that trailer is pretty good.
And I'm like, I went because I'm like, okay, saw that in the movie theater. I'm like, all right, I can't wait. I love Highlander. I love it, And I see this movie, and I'm like, I got Cloverfielded, I got, you gave me the Statue of Liberty head bouncing down Broadway, and then gave me that Statue of Liberty head was bouncing down Broadway longer than Cloverfield Monster was in the movie.
But I mean, Cloverfield didn't sell you on there's a giant monster attacking the city, and instead you get a leprechaun.
6 minutes of monsters. It's not as bad. Because Cloverfield's not a bad movie. They just made decisions I didn't like. Highlander 2 is an awful movie. It's awful. It's awful. There's no way to describe for you guys, especially you youngins who weren't around when it came out. I am incapable of expressing just how bad this movie was. And as you would hear, they couldn't express it anymore either. So for those of you who are watching, so say Independence Day people, you're watching this, you did Resurgence, which is your own version of The Quickening. But guess what? We still got, this came out in 91. This is an awful fucking movie. How they greenlit Highlander the series after this.
It's a miracle.
I don't know. But thank you for doing so. So you can move on. And then all the other Highlander movies, which were they were awful too. But they said, Zeiss, that never happened. What are you talking about? You walk up to people at conventions and be like, hey, what about Zeiss?
Well,
you might not get your shit signed if you bring that up.
Because Highlander 2 became the Snyder cut of its time, because you could still see Highlander 2, but now there's only that version that was released that Williams saw in theaters. That's no longer available. They have since restructured, re-edited it.
They restructured it, but it doesn't save that movie.
There's no Zeiss in it anymore, though.
So Independence Day, Will Smith still looks like Will Smith. Judd Hirsch is going to live to be 200. I hope, knock on wood. Jeff Goldblum is, I guess, gonna get to live to be 1,000. So you got everything you need. We don't have to listen. There is no rule that says we have to acknowledge resurgence. Just like us Highlander junkies, of which I am one, we don't talk about the quickening. When we talk about the quickening, it's the quickening. It happens in Highlander.
It's when the Highlander
there is no such
mortal.
There is no such movie about the quickening. And if you walk up to me in my store and say, "Hey, what do you think about the quickening?" and I'll be like, "What?" and they'll be like, "What do you think about the quickening?" I'll be like, "What?" And then after the third or fourth time, they'll be like, "Oh," and I'll be like, "I know of no such movie." There's Highlander, and then there's some really bad movies like with Mario Van Peebles and all that. Those are awful.
Which and yeah, to answer Aaron's question here, there was there's the TV show, which is a sequel,
and there's a movie of the sequel, Endgame.
Yeah, so they did like a
which is complete. By the way, guys, you people whine about major franchises not caring about continuity. Highlander did not give a walking, flying, traveling fuck about continuity because Christopher Lambert, who is the one at the end of Highlander, is in there with Duncan MacLeod, and that cannot happen. It cannot happen. Yeah. They just said, fuck it. You know why? They said, after all this direct we've given you, we're going to give you Adrian Paul, who you guys love, and we're going to give you Connor and Duncan, and we're going to dare you not to go see. You love that movie.
But to answer your question, Aaron, there was 4 sequel movies which got progressively worse. Well, maybe not.
Name them. Go ahead and name them one by one.
There's The Quickening. There's a Highlander the Sorcerer. There's Highlander Endgame. And there's Highlander the Source.
That one was especially bad because it turns out the prize wasn't, just being able to grow old, and it was horrible.
Yeah, and in the middle of all that, you had a pretty awesome.
It was like a TV movie, yeah. But once again, you can't take Highlander. You can't take that show away from me. That show is special to me. I mean, it's not even a guilty pleasure. It was a pleasure. It's not like Titans where the show is awful, but sort of, but it was still fun to watch, and I love it. But Highlander, the series, there's no world where that show should have worked. There really isn't. You have a failed movie, a awful sequel, a bunch of goofball sequels, but in the mix of all those, you have a show in Highlander that lasted on, like I said, and the people who were distributing it were trying to kill the show. The show, like I said, debuted in the second largest market in the world, 11 o'clock, not after the nightly news. Because like in the weekly news, weekdays, you get Jay Leno, you would get Johnny, that was the time people were still watching TV on their way to bed. You even had Letterman and all that. So no, not on a Saturday night when you had Saturday Night Live and a lot of late night, horror movies. Like Sunday, when you're getting your ass into bed, when you've partied throughout the weekend, and you got to work hard the next week, right? They put that shit in, and before digital DVR and things like that, they put that on 11:30 on a Sunday night, and it thrived. It thrived. If you'd have told me while I was watching the show debuted on October 3rd, 1992, 1 year before I would go away from basic training, if you told me that show would last from October 3rd, 1992 to October 5th, 1997, I would have laughed at you as I was enjoying the show. Because I thought there was no way this show was going to last. And it was good. It introduced elements that the Highlander movies didn't greet. The Watchers, Dawson and the Watchers. And then you had the Evil Watchers too. And then you had Mythos, the 5,000-year-old. And here's the thing. The show got so good that it had rock stars in it now. If Google a group called the Fine Young Cannibals. They were really big in the 90s, in the early 2000s. But She Drives Me Crazy, that song, that was their hit. At the height of that guy's career, that guy played an immortal. You know who the Who is? Anybody heard of the Who? Roger Daltrey? He played an immortal. Joan Jett played an immortal. These are people who were doing stuff at the time, and they started this show that I thought was going to get completely canceled. Now it had rock star. Once the rock star showed up, I'm like, okay, we might have something here. And that show gave me 6 years. How many episodes was it? It had 119 episodes over 6 years. It's filmed in Canada. Opened up with Princes of the Universe. It had a legacy, and I have like the set. The box set has a whole bunch of shit in it. But they kept it under budget. And it's still making money because you can get every other year or so they released. They had the Ultimate box. That's what I got. I got that like 7. It's huge. Okay, critical reaction to Highlander. The series has been generally favorable and more favorable in general than the film sequels of the original Highlander. No shit. Which have mostly received negative reviews, with the exception of the I forgot. We forgot one. We forgot the actual best sequel of them, of the goofball sequels. That's the animated one, The Search for Vengeance.
Yeah,
that was actually a pretty good one. I never remember that one. The direction was always sometimes uncertain when Highlander. The series gives viewers something unique and inspiring. Each episode gives us a provocative glimpse of the trials and concerns of immortality and great story. Yeah, everything that you loved about Highlander was given more time in this series. You got 6 years. The comics came out. The Raven was actually pretty good, but it was just the wrong time for it. Like the Highlander, the Source 07. I mean, there were some really, 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 really awful sequels. But once again, we got Highlander the series, and it helps me forget about some of the other silly stuff. All right, let's see.
And then, of course, in Highlander, we've got the new movie in the works, Chad Stahelski directing, and Henry Cavill. There you go. Henry Cavill is Connor McLeod. We got cast like Steve Batista, Russell Crowe, Max Yang, a whole bunch of big names. I can't wait to see that. Now it got delayed.
I'm gonna be there, but I don't have high expectations because of what they're trying to attempt. What they're trying to attempt with this movie is both admirable and extremely difficult. And I always tell you guys with the whole. I said it even yesterday. The nostalgia time bomb. If done right, you unplugged one wire and we're all going to go home. If you unplug the red wire and that's not the right one, we're all in bits and pieces, and it takes forever for us to identify who was there. I don't know how this is going to go. And it has nothing to do with the people that are talented. We have big talented people working on this and in it. I don't know if this is going to work. I hope it does. Because worst case scenario, it sucks, and I still have the Highlander I love. But if this is good, we put Highlander, the franchise, in front of a generation that wasn't even alive when it was at its height, and we start this whole thing again. I got a whole new Highlander world to talk about with 20 and 30 years old that didn't experience that, because it's different to tell somebody about Highlander. But unless you experienced all this stuff at the time it came out, it's a different conversation. So I look forward to a new generation having Highlander. And then guess what? If they like this, if a lot of these people who are going to go see this movie they may be, they may know about it and heard about it, but they haven't experienced it, right? Now we got a bunch of new generation guys going back and watching the shit from the 80s, which is always going to be good. And maybe picking up some Queen. I just don't know. If this is going to work. I hope it does. I'm biased for it to work, but we've seen. Remember, my motto is let the 80s go. There was something instinctively, something just 80s about Highlander, about that era of movie making. However, they successfully extended it into a TV show that lasted 6 years into the mid to late 90s. So the optimist part of me is like, man, I really want this, and I love Cavill. I'm not as big a Stahelski fan as you are, but I haven't seen stuff. I don't run from him.
By the way, I was kind of thinking with him. Yeah, I realized there is actually, this is going to be interesting with him directing, because there is one element of both John Wick and Highlander that as far as like their mythos of both worlds, and that's the characters. There's one there's like a sacred ground where they're not allowed to fight.
Yeah, Holy Ground.
Holy Ground for the Immortals, and then the Continental for Assassins. So I find that kind of interesting. I don't know if that was like intentional or you were
You have to ask, you have to ask him because there's no way I would be able
but
to find that out.
yeah, it's kind of an interesting commonality between them. But I mean, obviously, well, anyone knows me knows I'm a huge John Wick fan, so Stahelski definitely has my fealty on this.
I mean, the Holy Ground thing was like, see, even the Kurgan, if he was the most evil of them, wouldn't violate that. And he had to remind Connor not to. He was a villain. He's like, remember your training, Holy Ground, Highlander.
And that church scene is like, come on, I dare you to.
Yeah, he's like, and he quotes a Def Leppard song, which is better than Burn Out and Fade Away, which is kind of cool. That's from the song Rock of Ages, by the way, for the damn kids. So like I said, I hope it does well. I don't know if it's going to. I don't know if this is even going to work structurally wise, because a lot of the cool stuff you're adding in 2025, 2026, you going to be missing that main ingredient that made 1986. We're talking 40 years. We're talking 40 years. And things have changed, and there's been a lot of things that are Highlander like. A lot of the stuff that happened in Highlander is not, sword fighting and things like that, are not not what they were. We don't have soundtracks carrying movies anymore, and that Highlander literally existed on the soundtrack of Queen for almost 40 years now. But once again, I'm gonna be rooting for it. I hope the hell I get to promote that movie. I mean, that's going to be one of my favorite things to do, is promote that movie, and hoping I can do my part to make it successful. But the back of my head is like, this could go bad. I have to be realistic that this could go bad, and it could go disastrous bad. And I hope that's not the case, because I want to see a sequel. I want to see Cavill do more. All right, let's see. Skipping past the silliness. Search for Vengeance was good. That's the animated one. That's the one we just brought up. We kind of forgot about it because it wasn't live action. Highlander's Wrath of Khan. That's hilarious. Did I read? No, I have not. I have not read any of the novelizations. Let's see. I wouldn't get a strike for this one in particular. Are you talking about this Batman thing? Hey, listen, I hope I don't want him. By the way, don't get me wrong. I don't want Perp to get a strike. I just got a feeling that he might, and strikes are serious. You don't want to get, especially when they come from a studio. When somebody else strikes you, like another YouTuber or something like that, you can kind of negotiate. I mean, you can't negotiate with studios. There's just nobody to talk to. So I hope he doesn't get one. I mean, I don't listen. As long as there are certain Queen songs in that soundtrack or on that movie, whatever else you put on there, you can put Vanilla Ice. I don't give a fuck. But if the credits open up, and I know this is not fair, sorry. It isn't Here We Are, Born to Be Kings by Freddie Mercury, Brian May, and all those guys. I don't know if I can stay. I might have to leave. My brain is going to be telling my body that, William, you're watching a Highlander movie without Princess of the Universe. They didn't even take that risk with the show. That might have been why that show lasted a long time. Because, dude, every week that show began with that. And they would use Queen soundtrack. They used the same soundtrack for Kind of Magic in 6 years. They would just, I would have no other way. I hope that it has to be Princess of the Universe. It has to be. Because if it's not, I hope you made enough Highlander fans to carry that movie, because old school Highlander fans, I don't want to even be there with them. I don't want to be in that theater with them. Because I can hear it now. What the fuck? And that'll be online. This is blasphemy. Boycott this movie. Okay, because but like I said, I James Gunn. If James Gunn was picking, James Gunn would probably pick Queen. He'd probably pick Queen. He's a Gen Xer. Highlander dude, where's my car? No, that's the quickening. The quickening is the dude, where's my car of let's see, chat to house. He said quit. Well, yeah, it has to be. I mean, if it's not, that movie better be so good that it grabs an entire new generation and doesn't need us old bogeys. Because I would think I would be betraying the great ghost of Freddy. Freddy is going to be looking down at the cinema saying, William, my voice did not open up Highlander, and yet there you sit. I have to leave. But no, I can't believe it. I mean, I would bet everything I own that it's going to open up with that. And you know what? When it does, it's going to send a chill from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. When I hear that movie and then we're getting something new and we're not getting some bullshit source or quickening or in nonsense like that, we're getting some high end stuff because these are high end people. I can't wait. When does this come out?
They haven't actually started filming yet because they had a bit of a delay when Henry had an injury to his foot, so I don't think they started filming yet. But so probably they're gonna start this year, and probably.
Damn, I was hoping they were trying to get it out for the 45th.
Yeah, but then they had that again, injury delay. So my guess is like film this year, have it out next year.
Yes. I have wrestle. Actually, have some at the store. All right. So last thing on my thumbnail, like we spoke before, I came in. 1986 in music was what the year that put Peter Gabriel on the map. As one song in particular, to be honest with you, and that was Sledgehammer. I hate that song. I hate the song. I hate the video, but I love Peter Gabriel and that album. So he has a lot of his greatest hits on that album. How many of you, Brad, have you seen a movie called Say Anything?
Say Anything? I know of it, but I don't think I've seen it, no.
So when you think of Say Anything, what do you think of? Of most people probably watching this.
What do I think of?
Uh-huh.
Not having seen it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think it's like it's like a road trip movie or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's human interest, so it's not the biggest thing. So here you go. So I'm going to show you one of his songs that actually made an appearance in a movie. And this is a meme generator. So there you go. You recognize that? Anybody? John Cusack.
Yeah. There you go.
Now in this scene, he is playing a song, which was one of my favorite songs from Peter Gabriel. It's the number 2 song on the album right after Sledgehammer, which was literally what the song Sledgehammer. I felt like I was being hit with one when I hit that song. In Your Eyes, which would go on to be one of Peter Gabriel's most memorable songs. To the point like it has now become a meme. There are generations of kids that weren't even alive when this movie came out that know that meme, which is hilarious. That's the cultural impact that Peter Gabriel has had. I think Peter Gabriel, for me, is in my top 10 as far as vocalist goes. But he had been around. His last album prior to this was in 1982. But that was back when you didn't release an album all the time, but you did a lot of touring. He had left Genesis, and I didn't even know he was part of Genesis until this album came out. And I am putting the entire album. Shock the Monkey. Was Shock the Monkey on this one? Hold on. Shock the Monkey was not on this one. Shock the Monkey was on the previous album, wasn't it? It was on the 82 album. Shock the Monkey was actually on Shock the Monkey was on Miami Vice. Now, Peter Gabriel, and I'll pull up his Wikipedia page for you guys. Peter Gabriel was one of a handful of people of rock groups or solo artists that took advantage of Miami Vice. Phil Collins was one of them. Genesis, Glenn Frey, The Heat Is, all that. A lot of these guys, Miami Sound Machine, a lot of these guys in the early 80s, along with MTV, they were trying to get their music on this show. He had 2 songs that I remember hearing for the first time on Miami Vice, which was one that the who's that brought that up? Fizz is Shock the Monkey was on Miami Vice, and another song which is one of my favorite songs of Peter Gabriel. It's called Mercy Street. And they were both on their 1982 album. This album right here, and the videos that he would do 2 major videos on here. This was during the MTV era where you had to make flashy, crazy videos. Even if you weren't a flashy, crazy band, you had to make them because you were competing for airspace with a bunch of other crazy videos and stuff. So Sledgehammer was the first of those videos, and if you guys remember Sledgehammer, it's got the claymation. He's got about 20 different forms of animation and forms to where he's doing that one, and then another one was Big Time, which was a follow up to that, and he used the same thing. Those are the 2 songs on the album I hate. I can listen to them, but the rest of this album, Sledgehammer, In Your Eyes, Don't Give Up, Don't Give Up. From what I read. At the time, he is really, Peter Gabriel is really big into human rights causes, and a lot of his music was based around that. Nelson Mandela was still in prison in 1986. Stephen Biko, who was another anti-apartheid leader in South Africa. This was back when you had apartheid in Africa, and a lot of the major stars would contribute their music in support of blocking, or trying to reform what was going on in South Africa. And Peter Gabriel was one of those. And Don't Give Up was one of those songs that was inspired by that. And if you listen to a lot of Peter Gabriel's music, if you listen to In Your Eyes and some of these songs, there's an African influence. There's drums, there's all kinds of stuff. Because that part of the world at that time still meant a lot to him. He would do concerts with Paula Cole there. But you had Don't Give Up, Big Time, Red Rain. Red Rain is probably another one on this album that was really huge. But Sledgehammer was the one. Sledgehammer was the one that introduced Peter Gabriel to my generation. Peter Gabriel has been around in the 70s, Salisbury Hill, all that stuff, but I wasn't, I was oblivious to it. Most of the stuff I got introduced to was because of MTV or because of Miami Vice. But this album, he had already had a decent career by that point. This album put him on the map with people like me. And he's done a lot of things. A lot of you guys who are not necessarily familiar with Peter Gabriel, if you watch Stranger Things, you are, because his version of Heroes is my favorite version. All due respect to Wallflowers and the originator of the song, which is David Bowie. The version of Heroes that Peter Gabriel does, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and put that in there, is one of my favorite songs, period. He does it with an orchestra. And a lot of people heard that song for the first time in Stranger Things. It is played in the first season of I think the 5th or 6th episode of season 1, when they find what they think, spoiler alert, it's been a really long time, which is Will Byers' body, and they play that song in there. So there's that. So yeah, big see, hold on. Greatest uses of a song in a movie, Send Me an Angel in the movie. That's it. Wow, dude. Send Me an Angel. I remember that song. Wow. Orth, you're up there. You're fossiling it with me. Big Time, like I said, I Big Time wasn't a bad song, not a little Sledgehammer, but it was the one that the radio stations got a hold of, and they just drove it into my. You didn't hear In Your Eyes until long after the album was released. Let's see if you because it's, like I said, In Your Eyes. What year did that movie came out? Let's see. See, the song was featured in 1989 film "Say Anything," starring John Cusack and Eon Sky. It closes Peter Gabriel's set list during the Secret World Tour. So yeah, I have a bucket list of people I have to see before I leave this earth or they leave this earth. Got to see Def Leppard. I cannot believe, and they had residency out here, but they got one in September. I'm gonna go see them on my birthday. Peter Gabriel is on that list. I have to see Peter Gabriel live. I have to see it live. He's in his 70s and stuff, but he's still in great health. He still performs. I got to see Peter Gabriel live. So he's one of those ones. There's a handful of ones that are getting up there that I want to see. AC/DC. They're still touring. I mean, I miss seeing with Malcolm Young, but Peter Gabriel is one of those ones that I must see live before one of us leaves this planet. I hope I get a chance to do that. But yeah, big time, you know. Let's see. Shock the Monkey. Yeah. Shock the Monkey is one of his coolest videos. By the way, Shock the Monkey. It is said that is another cause for Peter Gabriel is animal rights and experimentation on animals. And back in the 80s, that was a big thing. They experimented on primates. The pharmaceutical companies, because primates, human connection, they wanted to see how their drugs would work and how therapy would work on animals. So they would use the closest thing that they could find to humans, and that would be monkeys. And that's when he says shock the monkey, it's because they were doing that. That song is about Red Rain. Red Rain is about the environment. Acid Rain was a big thing in the 80s. So he is a cause-driven singer, but man, he's great, dude. Digging in the Dirt. I mean, I could name, this is the album we were talking about tonight because it's the one that was released in 1986 and it's the 40th anniversary of that album. But man, there's not a bad Peter Gabriel album. There's Peter Gabriel live. I have to see this man live before I get out here. Peter Gabriel is still with us, man. You'll know. You know how we do RIPs and the stuff on that beginning, and half the time I'm not as familiar. You will see a tragic one for me if when he goes, and I hope it doesn't go for a long time. I hate bringing that guy. And Ric Flair. There are certain people like I don't think I'm going to be able to handle when they go. It's eventual, but damn, I just don't want it to happen. Let's see. Oh yeah, you're talking about oh yeah, I'm on my way. Yeah. I like I said, and like he did a bit of video, but there's a lot of Peter Gabriel that's really good. If you guys get a chance to one of the coolest things he did a lot of experimentation with like techno and disco. There is a song, and I'll put it in the chat, called While the Earth Sleeps. It's by Peter Gabriel and Deep Forest. You know, Deep Forest, they did all that chant stuff back in the mid-late. I see. So let's see. So I'm gonna put that in there. That's a really kick out. There's a lot of good Peter Gabriel. Like I said, he goes beyond this album. I actually think that Up, his next album would be would be Up. He did a lot of these his 1986 Us would be his next one, and then another one would be Up. He used a lot of two letter words. Digging in the Dirt is one of my favorite all-time Peter Gabriel songs. It was actually released on my 18th birthday. Steam was good. Blood of Eden is good. Kiss the Frog. Come Talk to Me. Come Talk to Me is one of my favorite Peter Gabriel songs. It is a song that he wrote for his daughter because she was having a hard time going through the divorce him and his parents were going through, or his mother was going through, her mother was going through. And he, they had a communication gap. So he wrote that song for her, which is ironic. It's because his daughter being born is what would cause the stress that caused him to leave Genesis. And because he couldn't be there, he couldn't, do a lot of the things that a lead singer in a band could do. And they were getting frustrated because even Phil Collins admitted at the time, none of us had kids. He was the first of us to have kids. We couldn't understand what he was going through, and we kind of made mistakes there. They would end up making amends. obviously they all did well, but they would end up making amends for that. And I think that was one of the coolest things when they sat down with all of each other and said, hey, basically water's under the bridge. But yeah, there's not a Peter Gabriel song that didn't have some kind of meaning. Whatever was going on at the time, either with him or with the environment or government, he put it in his music, and he's a legend. I mean, he is a legend. So I really hope I get a chance to see him live. And I hope it doesn't cost me an arm and a leg when it does, because I know there's certain bands it's going to cost. AC/DC is expensive. Metallica, I've seen them like 4 times. I mean, there's bands that I've seen. I got to see Van Halen before Eddie passed away. I got to see Beastie Boys before Ad Rock passed away. So yeah, there's but Peter Gabriel's on that list. Yeah, Peter Gabriel, Mercy Street. Mercy Street is a song that he had on there. And he also had Shock the Monkey. Shock the Monkey was on there. So, all right, guys. I have covered the abbreviated thumbnail list that I had. I think I covered them in depth. I didn't really skimp over anything. We got to talk in depth about Absolute Batman. We talked about Highlander for sure. And we talked about Peter Gabriel's at length. And I mean, at length, not even just Highlander, the entire legacy of Highlander it's huge. I mean, it's a legacy that just shouldn't have happened. I'm happy it did, but usually when shit sucks, it doesn't get a second chance. Highlander did not suck, but this is every now and then you get people who look at something and they say, you know what, damn the money. This was a hit for us. This meant something to us. But Highlander got the show got released after a bomb and a movie that had no business being made. And then we got one of the great shows I've ever seen get 6 years. And I look back on that, and like I said, I got 6 years out of a show that I thought might get canceled during the commercial break of its first season, because it just didn't seem like they cared. It was like KTLA was when in LA was what I was watching it on. And I heard that there was a show coming on. I think I heard about it at the Comic-Con that year, because I think they did like a little poster or something at Comic-Con that year. That's how I found out about it. I'm like, oh, this is cool. But then I looked at it. I'm like, but damn, I know what's come before. So is this? I'm expecting more quickening. I'm expecting more. And I was not. It is a show that should not exist, by the way. Not just because it was an underdog, but because if you watch Highlander, there can be no Duncan MacLeod. It's impossible. It's impossible that happens. Now, what somebody told me was that
this many immortals.
Yeah, because he killed them all. Because remember, and somebody tried to say, well, William, how do you know that Endgame didn't take place before Highlander 1? Well, genius, which I'm not one of. The Kurgan and him were the last two. So, and you can't just forget about the other immortals. You can feel them. The quickening, the gathering, the time of the gathering is when they know that when they're getting down to a handful to fight for the prize. So it's not like you can cheat. Oh, I got an immortal in my back pocket. Guess you didn't see him. Now, the whole Mario Peebles thing was fucking.
That's pretty much what they did with that. Where it's like,
I wanted to punch my head.
He had it's like,
you're in another dimension. So
yeah, we forgot about one immortal. So you got to take out that guy. He's like sealed in a cave, and that's why the whole thing skipped over him.
I'm like, okay, fine.
Still not as stupid as ice.
That's a better explanation than they gave me for Christopher Lambert being the guy, the one, the absolute. You were it. You were it. And you come back and your cousin, not even your cousin, because they're not even blood related, because they never really explained with the Highlander. And I don't want to know. Stop trying to tell me where they came from. I don't need to know where their immortals came. You tried that once and it was awful. No, I don't need to know. Don't need to know. Yeah. So if you're into continuity,
Highlander,
throw that away. Because like I said, Connor can't be there. Not only can Connor not be there, Duncan can't have one of the great shows I've ever seen. So that's one of those things where, okay, you broke the rules that you established, the biggest rule that you established, the whole point of your immortality and the whole point of the gathering, but I'm all right with it. I'm okay. Don't try to undo that, please. because I went to go see that movie and I'm like, okay, this is bullshit. But I get to see, because remember, the very first episode of the series, he's there. Connor's there, talking to him. He's in the very first episode. So they established that he's there, but that's supposed to have taken place. But see, that can't even happen. So none of this can really happen. But you know what? This is where you do just go ahead and enjoy it and don't mind, because look what we got out of it. So the quackening. Yeah, that's basically what it was. That's a perfect description of it.
That was going about Rev.
No, he did 1, 2, and Endgame. Hi, Rev. How are you doing? Yes, I did. I talked about Absolute Wonder Woman. Okay. The Absolute Wonder Woman is on the thumbnail because this current issue that I reviewed of Absolute Batman, number 16, is a crossover between her and it's a good crossover. Please read that, guys. Read that and let me know what you guys think. What you guys think of it. I really want to start hearing people's opinions about what they think about of Absolute. I know sales wise that this speaks for itself, but I really want to, because when you read or watch or listen to something or go to a concert, the way it affects me is going to be different than the way it affects you. And that's what this whole geek conversation should be about. Not trying to, like change people's mind, but how did this issue of Absolute Batman hit you? It's like there's a movie I watch, and every time I watch it with people, I have a different response, and it affects people in a different way depending on what their life circumstances is. And it's one of the movies that we really need to do, but I don't know how I feel about doing it. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It is an underrated movie. It is an Academy Award winning movie for best screenplay. It is a brilliant movie. It is Kate Winslet's best work. It's what she should have won the Oscar for. Jim Carrey should have at least been nominated. I don't know if he wins, but that is the performance of his life, in my opinion. And that movie is about this couple that gets together and they break up and they go to this therapist who has this machine that can wipe out the memory of that person. And halfway through the movie, Jim Carrey, as he's watching his memories go away with Kate Winslet in all of them, he comes to the realization that, yeah, it didn't end well, but I love these memories. I don't want to forget that I met her just because it didn't end well. And so he spends the rest of the movie trying to hide her in all her different forms from this machine. And it ends up, not working. But he's still, the part of the movie is that they end up meeting anyway. They both have this done, but they still end up meeting and being an item anyway, because they were drawn to each other by the best thing about their relationship. Now, when I watch this with people, different types of people, it has a different effect on somebody who's lost someone. If the spouse or the wife or the person that they're most memorable died, because you start to hate these people. You're like, dude, the memories are all you have, besides pictures and stuff. But there's the memory. You're trying to erase something over something so petty as a breakup, and they're rooting against Jim Carrey's character until he turns it around. Then you're rooting for him, and that's what it's like two movies in one. But a movie like that, if you had a bad breakup, that movie's going to affect you in one way. If you've lost someone forever, that movie's going to affect you in another way. It could even be a pet. I know somebody who I was watching it with that broke down in tears because they had lost their pet, but it didn't matter. It was a living thing that they had a memory of, that they would do anything to have more memories with. And then you see these clowns going to this therapist to get rid of the memories that made them happy. So it's the same thing with comic books, same thing with Absolute Bat. And these things are going to affect you in a different way. And I wish more people would say how, hey, you know what, this made me feel this way, and this is why I like this book, rather than the kind of stuff we do talk about to where we're like, we Rotten Tomato things too much. So, yeah, we need to do a screening of that movie, but that's going to be one of those ones where the discussion is going to be a little bit different, because I know people who I showed it to one person that couldn't even get through it. He was so appalled at what they were trying to do in the movie. I'm like, dude, it's a movie, but I understand it because it's a different chord. All right, so the Christopher Lambert, I think we're so Highlander 4 is the MK Immortals of the Highlander franchise. Which one is 4?
Highlander 4. That would be that's it. That's Endgame. That's the one with Donnie Yen where they completely waste him.
That movie is not good, but Highlander Endgame wasn't bad. It's just bullshit. It can't happen. And that move, because he teaches Connor earlier on a move to where the only way you can get out of it is if you cut the body's head off, or you cut the person's head off. And so the way I'm going to tell you how the movie ends, obviously Connor dies.
I don't think anybody's precious about Highlander Endgame.
Yeah, I don't think you're going out to get it. Don't worry about it. I'm doing it for you. So there's an immortal, really powerful immortal in this movie that neither one of them can take on their own. And Connor is the better. Duncan is actually the better swordsman. He's actually the better, even though Connor began Duncan's training. Duncan actually went and has had more battles and he's become more. He's killed over 400 something people. So Connor is like, of the two of us, you have the best chance to defeat him. And so he tells Duncan, you have to take my head. You have to take my quickening. It's the only way you can defeat this guy, because he's like super powerful. And Connor's like, fuck no, what are you crazy? But then he reminds them, remember, at the beginning of all this can be only one. Even Ramirez warned him, it could be you and me. That's not the time now. But if there's, there can be only one. And so he does this move where he forces, the only way out of it is to take Connor's head. It was the weirdest thing. It was the coolest thing in the movie. I don't know if you remember it. They get the swords crossed up, and the only way out of it is for, if Duncan moves, the only way he can get his sword out is to take Duncan's Connor's head off, and that's what he does. And then he goes on to take, and then that's the end. There is no more immortals after that. That's the end again. But then again, listen. I wouldn't care. It's still an awful movie. I wouldn't care if at this new movie, if Christopher Lambert pops out of there with a sword and Adrian Paul comes out there with another sword and they start talking to Henry Cavill. I'm going to say out loud, this is bullshit. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit my happy ass down. I'm going to enjoy that shit. Because I don't mind that. There are some things just don't have to work. They don't have to be. It's not like a nuclear reactor. Some things are just.
It's not like with Highlander. I mean, it's like after Zeiss, after the history of Highlander. I mean, it's like what could. I mean, they would have to put effort into doing something as stupid as what they've done before.
But if they're sitting at a pub and Christopher Lambert comes down and sits down on one and hands Henry Cavill a beer, and then Duncan comes down and sends him a beer and say, "Hey, what's up?" And they're clearly Highlanders. They're clearly that, but they don't ever hit on it. Like, who are you? Oh, I'm an old friend from your hometown. I would do. The crowd was gonna go crazy.
And McLeod.
the crowd, and make it so that when he senses them, he's like, and they have no business being there. They have no business being there. But if you did that, I'm okay with it.
But Aaron, I think you're thinking of here. I think you're thinking of Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which he's Lambert's on, and yes, it's terrible. they came out around the same time too.
I've seen people do the lightsaber fights with that.
Yeah, that's just what I really hope, with what Stahelski's done in John Wick. It's like I just really looking forward to just some crazy sword action in this in the new one they're doing. And I mean, with Henry, obviously, with what he's done on The Witcher, he's he's a and the training he does in general for you look at all this, everything he's very action oriented in his career. So, with him and the pedigree of the ensemble they got on board, it's I'm just looking forward to just going John Wick level sword action in the Highlander universe.
I hope it sticks, but I am not 100% sure that it will. And remember, those movies didn't start out with big audiences, and we're 40 years beyond the relevancy of Highlander. To me, it will always be relevant. Don't get me wrong, but once again, I think the Highlander movie has more working against it than it has working for it. And I hate saying that because I just told you for the last hour, I love this franchise, and but I got to be real here. William, will the sue AI to bring back Sean Connery in the new Highlander? Would you be cool with that? If Sean Connery's estate was okay with it and it fit into the movie, then yes. If you're just doing it as for a gimmick, then no. But if there's a reason why, but they're going to have their own Ramirez. So it depends on how, like I said, it would be cool if the two living McLeods are sitting with the brand new one. I just think it makes no sense. I am freely admitting that it makes no sense. But the Highlander franchise makes no sense. So I'd be all right with it. But as far as Sean Connery goes, I mean, I don't know because that might be a little bit much, but I haven't seen the script. It might be cool. It might be cool, but then again, I don't, I would get more of a thrill of seeing the actual living, breathing guys that are still with us sitting there doing it and having grown old too. Having grown old to where they're like, you say, hey, you're going to be okay, man. You're not going to lose your head just yet. And then they get up and they're playing like "Don't Lose Your Head" from Highlander. Like I said, there's certain things about the Highlander franchise that I'm like, I don't care how the engine works. I'm just glad it does,
Yeah, my guys have a little baby cut in my hand. That's why I'm doing it. Seeing the blood off of there.
What the hell? I don't even want to know how. Got that. Son of William, I found out today that Nova was supposed to be introduced back in Infinity War, but still hasn't brought him back to Nova Projects. Very strange. I mean, is it any stranger than than Adam Warlock not being in the whole entirety of the Infinity whatever? One of the most pivotal characters in that story, he's not there. So, but they do. The MCU does what they want, and I'm like, all right, sure. I would wonder if an animated series would have worked. Maybe. It depends on when it was released, too. Because you would need to have that. I mean, I think a Highlander miniseries or Highlander anime series would work after this movie. And it all depends on who did it too. Like the people who do like Crunchyroll, things like that, Adult Swim, like they did something like the same people who handled Blade Runner, Black Lotus. By the way, everybody needs to stop what they're doing and go watch that. If it was handled in the Blade Runner, Black Lotus way, I think it would be fine. Should I watch the old Highlander or just the new one? No, definitely watch the old one. That's it. That's it. That you don't have to go any further than that. Watch the original because I think now. What's the premise of this? I haven't seen any premise of this. I'm assuming that it is going to be a remake or reimagining. Have they said for certain whether it's a remake or a continuation? Or obviously a continuation wouldn't make as much sense, but once again, we're talking about Highlander. It doesn't have to. Is he Connor McLeod?
From what I've read, Henry is going to be Connor McLeod. From what I've read.
Okay. So there you go. So yeah, you could with the Highlander franchise, people have given up on logic on it for the best, by the way.
Yeah.
That you can just do anything you want with this franchise, to be honest with you. Let's see. William Lionsgate passed on Highlander because they thought Cavill isn't big enough to draw for a world theatrical release. That could change. I highly doubt that it's going to stay just streaming. I highly doubt that. I think Amazon will give that a limited release. That may be the situation now. Amazon or MGM, especially MGM, would favor that. Listen, Lionsgate has made some significant mistakes in the last 10 years. You got to look at some of the personnel that's at. So if I'm at Paramount, this is around the same time when the same Henry Cavill, not an alternate universe, but the same Henry Cavill auditioned and got the role for Mission Impossible, which was a hit. And he was a big part of it. So I got to start thinking that it's some of the personnel in these studios just are not seeing things on the level. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to who's a draw and who's not, and to be quite honest with you, there's been enough movies to where the star isn't the draw. I mean, a lot of time the premise is the draw. I mean, you can take a guy like a Glenn Powell, who's a draw and still come out with a box office bomb. It's the premise too. So, yeah, I heard about that Rational, and I'm like, I shook my head. I'm like, so we have lesser people working at Paramount then? I mean, did he fool the people at Paramount? I don't know. And he was up for, by the way, yeah, he was up for James Bond for a while. And he's only missed out on certain roles by the fact that he was not as experienced as some of the people who would get them. So I don't know. Yeah, that's the one we were talking about. The Revenge. Jose, can I ask you, William and Brad,
Who ran
how
the
would
Avenger
you?
movies? Oh, how would I run the Avenger movies?
That's a tough one because I think they've done a good enough job.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
just haven't
looking-
liked where they were going. I mean, I would have, if we were going to do the Thanos thing, I would have brought Death in. I would have brought the abstract Death in. I would not have made Thanos this big mastermind. I would have had Adam Warlock, Pippin. I would have had all of Starlin's characters in there. I would not have used Spider-Man as an Avenger like they did, because I'm not a big fan of Spider-Boy and Mr. Stark. I wouldn't have done that. I mean, there's so many Avengers you could have used, but you know what? The way they did it worked, made them billions and billions of dollars. So, but yeah, that's that way I would have done it. You do an animated movie, Highlander, you better make sure it's R-rated. Oh yeah, because you're cutting heads off. I mean, like that, because if that trailer comes off as close to PG, yeah, you don't want to do a PG actual Highlander movie. The other thing was a little bit different. It was in the future, but William and Brad, are you excited for the Guy Ritchie film In the Gray starring Henry Cavill and Jake Gyllenhaal? Not especially, but I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, same.
And I haven't been the biggest Guy Ritchie fan. I mean, I don't hate him, but I know people who like lust after the guy. If his name's on the movie, they go see it. I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. But I'd be rational, to be honest with you. I don't know anything about it. So I couldn't give you let's see. No, we didn't. No, we were speaking about Highlander anime. You may have came in after that. But that's the cartoon we were talking about. That was the one we forgot when we listed the ones. And I think Aaron brought it up. I don't think you had another comment that I ignored. No, I brought that up. Joker, I brought it up when you first put it on. When you first put it down there. Avengers 2012. Avengers Infinity War. Endgame, and then the Ultron, Age of Ultron.
One that, and then Civil War in there somewhere. Yeah,
Civil War is a Captain America movie, but it has all the Avengers in it.
Avengers 2.5.
Yeah, but if we're talking about official Avengers movies, that's my list. If we're talking about unofficial Avengers movies, then that would be number 2. Because I could take Age of Ultron right out of there. So yeah. Let's see. No, it's on streaming. Let's see. Yeah, I could see Henry Cavill's Batman in this timeline. I don't know. I'm not saying that was ever going to happen, but yeah, I could see Henry Cavill. I think Henry Cavill has gotten better as an actor, like in the last 8 years. I think he could play it. Looks like I can agree with that. Yeah, there we go. All right, guys. I think that's where we're going to wrap it up. We're at 2 hours, and this is a Sunday night show, not a Saturday night show. But I was able to be more relaxed because I'm at the house. I didn't have to deal with customers coming in, stopping and going. But yeah, we're we're gonna be back to our newsflash. I will have a show tomorrow. It'll be earlier in the afternoon because we have a person that's putting together a project, a GoFundMe project for her book that she's going to be available around 5-ish. So that's when I'm going to go live. I might go live multiple times tomorrow, but I'm going to go live tomorroh in the mid-afternoon, late, or for Brad, it will be 8 o'clock. I don't know if he'll be available.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be there for that one, unfortunately.
But that'll be 8 o'clock Eastern, but 5 p.m. Pacific. So I will put together a show then, or I might record her part and just bring her on and then put her link in. I haven't decided yet. It's been a long weekend, but other than that, thank you guys for. Oh, no problem. It's a tricky situation when it comes to that. Like I said, I have a unique situation that I have to safeguard. That's all. Oh, okay. I wouldn't know who Donnie Yen was if he did a handstand on my lap right now. I wouldn't be able to recognize him. Yeah, I'm not into that. I mean, I would not be able to recognize that. Brad would.
You should, just based on Rogue One alone.
Is he play the Blind Jedi?
Yeah, he's Chirrut Imwe. Yeah.
Okay. That's all I haven't guessed. I mean, no, I'm not. I know of him through Brad, but I don't gravitate to Donnie Yen. Now, I'm pretty sure I've seen a shitload of movies with him in it, but I wouldn't.
You've seen John Wick 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but he doesn't stand. I mean, he's not somebody I would be. He's not like Lance. He's not like what's his name? Me and McShane type of level for me. You know what I mean? But yeah, I definitely missed him in Endgame. But that movie was kind of crazy.
Well, I think he was. That's where I said he was, and that's when he was still kind of primarily working in. Well, he still does primarily work out of Hong Kong, but. He'd only done I think that was his first stateside movie, and they completely, they don't take advantage of his talents, and they're like as we see in things like John Wick.
I have not. As soon as I'm done with the stream, I'm watching Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and I'm gonna probably I've been told that Wonder Man is hit tonight, and I'll probably watch that too. So, all right, guys, that is it. Please like, subscribe if you're watching on Twitter, which is working tonight. It was not working last night. youtube.com/at Sci-Fi Center. Like I said, I will be on the air tomorrow with a special show with a special guest, and I'll probably go over some other things, and then we'll be back to the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday format. Tuesdays will be open topic Tuesdays. Thursdays will be our topics, whatever we're going through in the week. I'll put it in the thumbnail. Saturday will be the normal overnight live show, and then Sunday will be the weekend wrap-up show unless things get postponed, or at some point in time we get a Sunday night show that we just have to watch together, and then we'll do like we did with the last show that we had on Sunday night with Welcome to Dairy. We'll post, we'll move things around. So okie dokie, I will see you guys at some point tomorrow. Keep that alert button on.
See you guys.